excited that you joined us. We've got Matt Rathbone here joining me, and today we're going to be talking about if you could only do 5 exercises for the rest of your life, which 5 exercises would you choose? First, let's start with a drink. Cheers, brother.
Cheers. Good to be here.
That's a good drink. What do you think?
I've always liked gin, just haven't drinking it often, but this is really, really smooth. I like it. I like the lemon, the simple circuit. It's just a nice, sweet taste, and then the basil is just like that fresh. It's really, really good.
I really enjoy this as well. I think it's a great summertime drink, hot weather drink. It is dangerously refreshing. I wanted to break the ice as well with a question for you. What was the worst haircut that you've ever had?
Hands down, bowl cut.
Let's see it. Let's see it. Oh, there it is. That is fantastic. I had a bowl cut as well, and I remember wanting a bowl cut. I don't know why.
I think I actually wanted it too. I wish I could go back to my 8-year-old, 10-year-old self even maybe and say, like, what were you thinking? Like, why? What's your reasoning?
Instead of also sharing my bowl cut, I decided, well, I actually thought we said, what's the best haircut you've ever had? And so, which is why I chose this one. Here is my mullet. Bask in that glory.
That is amazing. That is literally freedom in one picture. I mean, you can't get any more American than that.
And it's commitment. I mean, you're talking about a year and a half to get a good mullet of that length. So
Absolutely.
You've got to be in it for the long haul. Anyways, hope you all enjoyed those photos. So let's go ahead and jump in to talk about the considerations behind what exercises that you chose. So we won't actually share the exercises yet, but I just want to talk about, like, what things did you think about when you were crafting your list of 5 exercises?
Yeah, so I chose my exercises based off of a couple things. First of all, I just wanted to have, look at the big picture. I want to have overall balance. So, a lot of my movements are compound movements. And then also too, just thinking in terms of, like, if I could only do 5 movements for the rest of my life, I wanted to add a couple in there that were body weight. I think it's very important to be able to move your own body weight efficiently before doing anything else, but really just overall balance as far as the movements go. So making sure, I have a push, I have a pull, lower body, making sure we're incorporating core, making sure that we're just keeping a sound, fresh, strong body.
Sure. One thing that I really thought about was building bone mineral density, and that is achieved by working out large muscle groups. Muscles are attached to bones, and so if you work out those muscle groups, those muscles are pulling on the bone, and that's what ultimately strengthens your bone. And then also thinking about the bone mineral density of the spine and how you want to directly load the spine in order to strengthen the bone mineral density of those vertebrae as well. So those are really key things. Is there any other considerations that you thought about?
Kind of piggybacking off what you said, the bone density, I think that's also another key factor. As we get older, as we age, that density decreases, in a sense. So it's important to really try to keep that up as much as possible to make us the most functional human being we can, even into our older age.
Let's go ahead and go straight into our top 5 here. So Matt, would you share what is your number 5 exercise? We have these ranked 1 through 5. 1 is what we feel is like the number 1 movement all the way down to 5. What is your number 5?
So my number 5 is I chose the pull-up. I was tussling between a couple, but I chose the pull-up. I feel like it's important, if I were gonna do only 5 movements for the rest of my life, I wanna be able to say that I'm fit enough and feel good enough to move my own body weight. Obviously, I'm a big posterior chain guy, so I like working the posterior chain. The pull-up is a great exercise that does that. Works your lats and then, all the other synergist muscles in the back. And there's a lot of things that you can do with it. You can tempo it, do eccentrics, jumping pull-ups. So I like just how variable it is, and I think it's very useful.
Yeah, pull-up for me is number 3. It's on my list too. And I'll just add that there's a great grip strength benefit from hanging. Yes. And also, I like the feeling of hanging from a bar. It really feels good for my shoulders. It stretches things out. And so being able to do that, I feel like is an important part of staying healthy. I think great bang for your buck. You're working large muscle groups. It's multi-joint, shoulders and elbow joint. So on both of our lists, how about that? The first one.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's great.
Let's go ahead and share your number 4 exercise.
So yeah, number 4 is the push-up. And I think it's very important to be efficient into moving your own body weight. In this instance, horizontal push, working your pec major, pec minor, some of the biggest muscles also, as well as your lats, in the upper body. And again, multi-joint, just a couple of the factors for me.
So I actually do not have push-up on my list, but one thing that some people who have issues with bench press, doing push-ups as an alternative sometimes is a great way to get that movement into a closed chain environment, and then it becomes a lot more doable and less painful. Push-ups, you're able to be really active with your shoulders and engage your shoulders while you do that movement. I think that's a great movement. What I'll do now is share my number 5, which is the deadlift.
Oh, number 5, okay.
Is it on your list?
That's my number 1.
Number 1, oh man, okay, so I'll just say that really quickly that I love holding heavy weight in my hands, and I think that posterior chain strength, so you're talking about your glutes, your hamstrings, the muscles in the back of your body, the muscles you can't see when you look in the mirror. Strengthening those muscles is of extreme importance, and it's often one of the most overlooked elements of a training plan. So I thought about what movement can I choose that gives me that strength in the posterior chain. It lets me go heavy, because I like to lift heavy. What movement can I pick that accomplishes those things? And you're holding heavy weight, so there's also a grip strength element of deadlift as well. And it's working those biggest muscles in your body, your glutes, your hamstrings, some of the biggest, most powerful muscles. So it's a very functional movement, and if you want to be strong, then you learn how to deadlift. What do you say about it?
The deadlift, I feel like when we're talking about functional, is probably one of the most functional exercises that you can apply to real life. Functional. Like you said, anything from your glutes, through your erector spinae, which a lot of the population have low back pain, low back problems. So I feel like this would be a great exercise to help strengthen that. Give your low back and just your back in general some longevity. You can pick up some heavy weight, or you can use like sub-maximal loads and really build up some muscle mass and really protect that spine, obviously done correctly. I could think of a million different things that I do around here on a daily basis that mimic a deadlift. I going out picking up mulch, or going down to pick something up, or getting down and pick up groceries. I mean, literally there's a huge list, and those are just a few. But that's why it's my number 1. It's something I feel like that would give me the most longevity, the most bang for my buck. Just a great exercise altogether. It gets way overlooked.
I'll go ahead and share my number 4 exercise here. It's a side plank, thread the needle. There's a couple reasons why I chose that movement as number 4. I wanted to have a core focused movement in my group, because I think that while A lot of these movements work the core as part of it. I wanted to have something that really targeted the core and hips, like the side plank. You get a lot of shoulder stability benefits out of it. And you also have that thoracic rotation in this movement of reaching through. I just put a lot of emphasis on shoulder stability and thoracic movement, which is something that I work on almost every single day. Being able to kill two birds with one stone, you get the core strength of a side plank, and then you get the shoulder stability benefit of threading the needle. For me, it was an easy choice to put a movement like that into my top 5.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. I mean, I'm a big fan of the side plank, and especially with the thread the needle, but just the side plank in general too. I mean, McGill's big 3. I've suffered myself from low back injuries, minor, thank the Lord, but those type movements are along with helping your shoulder, also have helped stuff things like my low back and build my core up, and I use those daily. But when I'm warming up, before I do big compound movements like deadlift or squat or anything like that.
Number 3 movement on your list, what is it?
So my number 3 is just a plank, just a basic old plank. Some of the reasons are personal. Again, I have suffered, and oddly enough, not from lifting, just from everyday activities. I had injured a slightly herniated disc in my low back. And I'm still trying to keep up with and maintain to this day. But I chose a plank for a few of those reasons. Works your core just in an overall good way. From your shoulders down to your glutes, your quads. You're doing it properly, you're engaging all of those things, and I think it's a great tool to utilize as far as a warm-up, or even doing as a accessory movement after you finish a lift, weighted planks, things like that. So I really feel that there is a huge benefit to doing a plank overall, just building up your core in general and keeping your body healthy.
Okay, so my number 2 movement, it's the split squat.
So split squat?
Split squat, the variation that I would choose if I had to for this would be with a bar on my back. So the reason that I chose the split squat is that I wanted to get some unilateral work into this group. I think that there's value in unilateral work providing balance to an overall program. So I chose to go with deadlift for my main strength movement, so I want unilateral for this movement. I think that it complements what I've already chosen really well. Also, there's a little bit less stress put at the hip joint on the split squat than a conventional squat with a bar on your back. That's especially true for someone who has long femurs like myself. So while stress at the hip isn't a bad thing, that's something that for me in my injury history, it was important to consider. And so I chose the split squat for those reasons.
Yeah, that's a great choice. I totally agree with you. Unilateral work, I feel like, has to be done to maintain a good, sound, strong body. There's a lot of strong guys that do this, and it correlates, over. They're doing split squats with 315 on their back. It's incredible. I definitely think that is a very worthy number 2, my friend. My number 2 is a back squat. Actually, split squats were an honorable mention for me because I really do feel the importance of unilateral work. Back squat for me, just multi-joint movement, you're working large muscle groups. You can vary the tempo, the volume, the intensity. It's kind of much like the deadlift. So I just really like it, a lot. Keeps my glutes, quads real strong and looking good. And again, even dealing with my low back issues beforehand, obviously kind of rehab back up and work my way back up into something sustainable. But again, you can vary the loads and it still be a very effective tool, exercise to use. Also that, it helps create mobility in the ankle and the hip joint, really. You see all these mobility, when in reality, a lot of it is just practicing the movement. It's doing that movement, repetitively over and over and trying to get deeper and deeper as your body permits. If you want to squat deeper, keep trying to squat deeper. Squat as low as you comfortably can with good form and continue to try to reach your full potential depth. And over time, that mobility will increase ankles, hips, overall. Great exercise.
I'll just add to the squat, you're working some of the largest muscle groups in your body. The bars on your back, if we can circle back to that bone mineral density consideration, if you want to be strong and you don't want to have issues with strength later in life, you will squat and learn how to do that movement because it is that valuable. And I think the biggest reason that folks have difficulty squatting is because they stopped squatting at some point. It's when you don't get yourself into those positions for decades is when that can seem like a foreign movement. It's something that you potentially have been neglecting for a while. I still have to share my number one movement. Do you have any guesses?
I want to say the power clean and jerk or snatch.
If I could only do one movement for the rest of my life, it would be the clean and jerk. You get the benefit of explosive overhead work. You're pulling off the floor. Essentially, you're getting a front squat in there as well. In terms of strength and power and mobility, there's just so many benefits to a movement like the clean and jerk. In Olympic weightlifting, clean and jerk is king, and that is my background, and so I had to choose the clean and jerk for my number one movement.
It's one of my favorite lifts, even though I'm god awful at it. I like it just because you have to have such courage to go, especially if you're a competitor, to go under such heavy loads. I mean, you're pulling straight under. You're not pulling that bar up, you're pulling your butt under, and you're catching that. So, I mean, it's a lot that goes into it. But then just from a physiological standpoint, getting the front squat in, you got the jerk, shoulder strength, stability. I'm kind of jealous. That's a great number one, although I will stick by my deadlift. That is a great number one.
We will post both of our top fives in the description of this video. We will also post the recipe of the Basil Smash that we both are enjoying here. It's an excellent drink, so you can try that out if you'd like. And I want to thank Matt for coming on and joining me today. I had a great time chatting with you, man, and it's good to see you again. And thanks so much for joining me for this.